Welcome to Behind Enemy Lines.
Hey, Mike, we lost you. Your voice.
Oh,
There. Now you're back.
well, sorry. Welcome to Behind Enemy Lines. I'm not sure what happened there.
It's a little bit of delay. It's a delay now. Can you hear
Oh,
me
that's
okay?
weird. Yeah.
Yeah. There's some kind of delay. Your lips aren't moving, bro.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. It looks okay on my end, so I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe it's the snowstorm we're supposed to be getting tonight.
Wow, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, it looks like it's in sync. The audience should be hearing it in sync according to what I'm looking at on the screen.
Okay. My voice isn't moving. I mean, my lips aren't moving. My voice is coming out. What the fuck? It's crazy.
I don't know what to tell you because that looks fine over here too. So it might be some kind of technical glitch.
So we have an interesting show today. We got Keanu Rodriguez, who was a very smart man, came up with the crypto samurai wallet. And he's going to explain that to you about digital currency. And the poor guy under the Biden administration was forced to take a plea. When you fight against the federal government, it's not a fair fight. So he was put in a position where he had to accept a 5-year federal prison sentence where you got to do 85% of that time. And instead of jeopardizing and risking 25 years in prison under the corrupt Biden administration. So we're going to talk about the crypto wallet. What is that? What are some of the things that went through when he was being indicted and the crazy shit associated with that? He has to self-surrender himself to federal prison on the 19th of December, which is right around the corner. So everyone's trying to get him some visibility. Hopefully, we'll get Trump to intervene and help him maybe get out of this situation. So hey, Keanu, how are you, man?
Hey man, nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Are you seeing our lips move or no? I mean, are you?
Oh yeah, I hear you guys perfectly.
But
I'm a little delayed, but
yeah, I'm
I can
delayed
see
too.
and hear you guys wonderfully.
This is gonna be really weird. So before we have you do your story, I just wanted to do something a little local. I'm having some crazy politics with a Democrat that has infiltrated the Republican Party here, and I've been making little funny kind of memes and stuff. So Mike, why don't you play that little minute and a half clip, and it's probably going to be really odd with the delays in the voice. I don't know
Well,
if
the
we should.
audience isn't seeing any delay. I don't think it's just going. It's the bounce back for both of you where the problem is. According to the system here on my outbound screen, everything looks totally in sync. So I'm not sure what the problem is, but here we go.
Gee, my fake signature challenges are being tossed out quicker than my 24-hour marriage. I hope my butt buddy Joey doesn't get booted from the ballot too. OMG, that would be sad. Boys, is there anything I can do to help? Want to come back on my show? I have 18 listeners per show.
Jenny, I can't afford funding MaxPad and his boyfriend's airtime. Sorry.
Mark, can you keep paying me to pretend I like your mentally challenged son, MaxiPad?
Hell no, Severino. I'm still trying to get that crazy, lazy bastard out of my basement.
Daddy, please don't do this. I have no friends, no job, no wife, and no future without your cash. Mommy, no, please stand up for me, Mommy. Mommy, don't let Daddy do this.
Guys, so I know this looks kind of weird for you. You got to understand, we've been going through this big, massive political battle. These guys are whack jobs, and everyone in
Yeah,
Illinois.
I feel like I just had a seizure. What was that?
Yeah,
I was going to go with stroke, but still.
Yeah.
So everybody in Illinois knows what that's about. So I apologize. I know we got people outside the state that watch this, but that was just for local. Things are coming to a head. That guy, the one guy's running for governor. He's
not for long.
Yeah, he's supported by the Democrats running as.
That guy is obviously doing pretty well.
Yeah. So I'm getting him thrown off the ballot. He's 254 signatures short. He hired people from out of state to come in and get his signatures, which is crazy. So he had like Homer Simpson and all these other goofy. So I'm kind of making fun of him. All right. So I'm, sorry for that little bit. So let's get into the serious stuff. So I did look on Facebook, and it looks like things are working fine on Facebook with our lips and everything. So it's just messed up for us. So we'll have to deal with it and figure that out later. So why don't you, I didn't really give a little brief, background of who you are, and maybe a little bit about your tech background, and how did you get in to the creation of this application, and explain a little bit about, as you developed this app, what was the intent of the app, right? Explain it to for layman terms of cryptocurrency, and then how, some of the challenges that you're trying to fix with this app from, the government, right? And whatever, tracking us and trying to, control, you know, what we do with our cryptocurrency.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I'm just a self-taught computer programmer.
Mm,
I dropped out of high school at 16 to focus on computers.
wow.
The formal education really didn't work with me, and I was good at it. And from 16 all the way through today at 37, I've been a self-starter, worked for myself, worked for other companies, all doing what I love to do, which was build stuff that people could use. Take something that was in my head and make a tangible product out of it. And in 2012, I found Bitcoin, and it really spoke to me. Prior to 2012, I was really into gold and silver. I was already into separating money from the state, having a type of money that couldn't be censored, and that there wasn't a third party in between.
Hmm.
And when I found Bitcoin, it struck me that this is a digital version of that.
Yeah.
It's like a digital version of having gold and silver, and I wanted to work on it. And I did, again, as a self starter. I
Hmm.
found a company in the Bitcoin space that was building Bitcoin wallets at the time in the browser. It's called blockchain.com. And I got hired there, and I earned Bitcoin. Did not earn dollars anymore, or fiat currency as we call it. And
Yes.
that was where everything kind of started. But by 2015, things had started to change. The anti-establishment, libertarian-esque sort of culture of Bitcoin was going away, and it was being replaced by Wall Street finance types, and that was a problem to me, right? Because they have fundamentally different cultural goals than someone like me. Their goal is to make this another type of Wall Street asset, while my goal is this is censorship resistant cash. And
Yes.
yeah, so I decided, instead of just complaining about it and instead of leaving Bitcoin altogether, let's make what we want to see. And one of the people I met at Blockchain, who I worked with, ended up becoming the co-founder with me. He's a great friend of mine. Um, his name is Bill. He's also my co-defendant in this case. We talked to each other. We agreed, let's build software that we want to see, that prioritizes the use case for Bitcoin that we got into it for. And that culminated into what we called Samurai Wallet. And very simply, Samurai Wallet is a piece of software that is open source, meaning the source code is available for anyone in the world to download and do what they want with it. And it's also what's called non custodial, meaning that me or Bill or anyone involved with Samurai never takes any custody of the user's Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. The
Their
user's
data, their
always in
information.
total control.
Got it. Yep.
Right. We are not like a bank account, right? Like, you take $100 and give it to the bank. It's technically your $100, but the bank's in control of it. And the bank could say, no, you can't have that. We didn't want anything like that.
Hmm.
We wanted the user of the software to be in total control. We wanted them to be the bank.
I.e., like what
So
happened in Canada, right?
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Again, the whole point of Bitcoin to me was to get rid of counterparty risk, get rid of
Correct.
third parties. I certainly did not want to become a third party. So that's why we created Samurai Wallet.
Good.
Yeah, and
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, and again, like this makes sense. The whole idea behind cryptocurrency is to be independent of the influence of government, not having these fiat currencies based on basically the hopes and dreams of a country anymore, since basically nothing's gold backed anymore, except for what is it, like 3 countries left still have commodity backed currencies. What is it, like New Zealand and some country nobody cares about, and I don't remember who the third one is. But yeah, to have something that's actually independent of government influence, so if they're making poor decisions, devaluing their currency, you still have something, a real commodity that can be exchanged with other users without interference. This also breaks down barriers and borders. So if countries decide, well, you can't do business with each other anymore, individuals still can. But it's important to keep people's information private. Like right now, all these Europe is moving towards central bank digital currencies. They just issued digital ID. And these are all ways to track a person's every movement, because it's not just your bank account that's linked. It's your passport. It's your medical service. It's your everything, your online personas. So if you say something you don't like, well, then maybe you can't go buy groceries this week. Or maybe they won't let you travel outside of your little 15-minute city because they now have control of all your money.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And with Bitcoin, what we discovered, or we already knew, but became a big problem by 2015, is that in order to have a censorship resistant form of currency, you have to have privacy. Without
Yes.
privacy, you don't have censorship resistance. And Bitcoin, many people don't actually realize this, is a fully open and transparent system, right? Anyone with an internet connection can go onto a website and see every transaction that's ever occurred on Bitcoin. It's open. And there
Yeah.
has to be a solution for this if it's going to be a censorship resistant form of cash. And that's why we created Samurai Wallet, was to provide those privacy solutions to people who needed to use cryptocurrency. And we did. And the most important part of it is provide those privacy solutions without taking custody and control of the asset ourselves.
Well, when did
the user
privacy
in charge.
become illegal in the United States? I mean, this seems insane.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a long storied history of upholding and celebrating privacy, right? It's enshrined in our Constitution. A lot of the complaints of the colonists in the Declaration of Independence fundamentally come down to privacy complaints. So we are a nation of people who value our privacy, and the government hates that. And the government, the prosecutors, the U.S. attorneys' offices, the FBI, all of these agencies hate the fact that we have basic fundamental privacy protections enshrined in the Constitution.
Mhm.
They see those protections as impediment to what they're trying to do. They look at them with disdain.
Yeah, it's like
And
having access to a safety deposit box in the bank.
Yeah.
yeah,
So can you explain how did you have any competitors in this space, or are you the only one that got screwed like this?
we certainly had competitors in the space. Um, you know, uh, I think broadly there wasn't a lot of competition.
Mhm.
We were a mobile-based wallet, so you had to have an Android phone. The majority of the competition wasn't on mobile; they were only on desktop PC. We
Mhm.
weren't on desktop PC, so there were competitors, but it wasn't a crowded market. But we were the only ones that got this treatment.
Yeah, so
Um,
what made you stand out to the feds, for you guys to be, if none of these other firms had this and they had desktops, do they view the mobile phones more dangerous because you could get burner phones and stuff like that? What drove them to say, "Hey, we're gonna go after Samurai Wallet and not all of them at the same time?"
Yeah, I think it was a couple things. I mean, one, we were very successful. A lot of people used it. And at a certain point, if you get too successful, you're hard to ignore. Um, Two, I think you're right. The fact that it was on mobile means that the reach of the application was way broader, right?
Mhm.
All of us are a certain age. We are comfortable with desktop computers. We grew up with them, or at least in our teens had them, or 20s had them. The youth today aren't as comfortable with desktop computers. My younger brother and sister, who are like 10 years younger than me, don't know anything about a desktop computer, but they do know everything about a phone and a tablet,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
So the market for the mobile space is huge, and I think the government realizes that as well. And the third thing is, because what I thought we were doing was entirely legal, and I still think it was entirely legal, we were open and notorious. I had no problem using social media
Mhm.
to say controversial things
Mhm.
and stuff I believe, but also stuff that was antagonistic, right? So being out there also was another reason why they came after us.
Did the federales ever request backdoor access or anything like that? Okay. So, I mean, I guess I don't really understand what the problem is. I mean, I've heard about people like literally etching their Bitcoin digits into metal so they can pull them totally offline and then retrade the currency later and there won't be a record of it. Or you could technically, hand off the ingots, I guess, to whoever you wanted, and they would then have access to that Bitcoin. So I don't understand why they'd be targeting you specifically. But again, like, I don't understand either where exactly they think you guys broke the law. Like, this is just providing a financial service like any other. I know, especially during previous regimes, this was less tolerated. It's been a little bit more friendly towards cryptocurrency since Trump's been in office. But I guess I don't understand, why target you? Like, what were they so afraid of?
Yeah. So this prosecution began in April 2024 with a 50 person FBI raid on my property at 5 in the morning with armored vehicles, drones, guns, the whole nine. And it was very surprising, right? Because we've been operating for 10 years. Right? We
Wow,
operated
really?
under Obama, we operated under Trump 1, and we operated under Biden. And it was only Biden's DOJ that seemed to have a problem with what we were doing. And that was confusing to us, right? Because there were clear guidelines from the regulator in charge of illicit finance called FinCEN, the Financial Crime Enforcement Network, that say in order to be a money transmitter or a financial institution, you have to take custody of people's funds, right? You can't transmit something if you don't have it, and you can't launder something if you don't have it. So we had assumed that we were on the right side of this regulatory regime in the United States because of the guidelines from the regulator. In April 2024, the DOJ changed the way they thought about things. And they now say that even if you never have control or custody of someone's money, you can still transmit that money and launder that money if you build software that they can use. So that's what we did. We built software. We wrote code that allowed people to deal with their own stuff, to deal with their own money. And we're being held responsible for anything that those people did that may have been illicit or may not have been. But we didn't know about it, and we had no business knowing about it because all we did was publish software.
Yeah, it's no different. And we talked a little bit about this before, right? It's the gun manufacturers. They make a gun, right? A gun could be used to rob a bank, to murder somebody, but they manufactured the gun. They didn't manufacture the gun with the intent to commit a crime. That was not the intent of the gun manufacturer. As well, the similarities with your application. Now, could they be misused, and would they be misused? I wish I would have known you back in the '80s, but I'm kidding. It's a joke. I'm joking. I'm joking. Um, um, so I guess I wonder, did you ever find out when you started going to trial and hearings, did they get access? Were they monitoring? I read a little bit about some of the stories that I guess you had to pay $6 million back. If you had $6 million to pay, man, you made some big cash, buddy. So
So we made $6 million over the course of 10 years.
okay, so they wanted you to pay that $6 million that you made in profit from your business.
In revenue.
Yeah. I'm sorry, revenue. Yeah, that's crazy.
So we weren't, I mean, look, we made some money. We made enough money to keep the business running.
As you should. You should make money.
Absolutely. I don't apologize for it. I'm proud of that fact. You know how hard it is to build a business on open source code that's
Code.
free?
Mhm.
It's hard, and we figured out a way to do it. We weren't getting fabulously wealthy, but we kept things going for a decade.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, we made some money, and we were required to pay the government that money as part of the deal we ended up taking. And we can get into that in
Yeah,
a
I
bit.
want to. Yeah.
But the government charged us with or conspiracy to commit money laundering and conspiracy to operate a money service business without a license. That's what the charges were.
Mhm.
And I was charged out of the Southern District of New York, a place I hadn't been to.
Scumbags, leftist scum.
Yeah, a place I hadn't been to, a place that I had no employees at, a place that I had no infrastructure in. They're the ones that brought the charges against me and indicted me.
Wow.
And throughout the whole process, we spent over a year handling this case, dealing with this case. Eventually, we ended up taking a deal. And people who aren't involved, who have never been involved in the justice system, have never gone toe to toe with the Justice Department, don't understand the concept of taking a deal when you didn't commit the crime. But when you're faced with the Southern District of New York, a leftist hive of scumbags,
Mhm.
Well, not to
you
mention all
have
their,
no shot in hell.
well, not to mention all their connections to the financial industry, and I have no doubt a lot of these banks wanted to shut you down too. So who's to say whose will they were extricating on you at that time?
Yeah. So damn it,
Absolutely.
I want to make sure that people understand. So you did all this code development, you and your partner, and whoever else that helped you with that. It was over 10 years. So the fine that they're fining you is not profits; it's the revenue, right? So we understand that's the revenue that you brought in, which means they pretty much took away everything, including your time, effort, and whatever money that you would have made, that within that $6 million. What was your legal fees and your partner's legal fees to fight for this case? What did you have to spend in legal fees?
Yeah. So like I said, we did a little over a year, I think a year and 6 months. Um, didn't get to trial even.
Yeah.
So this is a year and 6 months. I am in legal debt about $2.5 million to my law firm. I am in debt to personal friends who gave me a personal loan,
Mhm.
$1.3 million. That's just me. My partner Bill is probably around the same, right? Manhattan attorneys are probably the most expensive in the country. On the low end, you're at like 1,700 an hour, and it goes up from there. So it's one of the reasons why they brought it in the Southern District. They know we're not wealthy. They know what our finances are before they even bring the
Yeah.
indictment, and they know they're going to bury us financially,
So
whether we win or lose.
yeah, so people understand, right? You pretty much got fucked financially, right? Your business, your future, what, you 37 years old, did you say?
Yes, sir.
All right. And then you got to go to prison and hopefully that's not going to happen, but you got to go to prison for 5 years. So you're going to get out at 41. Uh, Hopefully that's not going to happen, but I'm just explaining the ramifications of what these scumbags did, right? I mean, it's pretty much knocking out the best times of your life to generate income and wealth for yourself and your wife. And these fucking leftist scumbags have taken this from you. And
The judge in the case, after I had forfeited the 6 million, after we made that arrangement at sentencing, the judge added an additional $250,000 fine, knowing I didn't have that, and that fine accrues interest while you're in prison, unable to pay it. So when you get out, you have 250,000 plus interest that you are also responsible for paying.
what's
So
this?
yeah, they financially ruin you.
What's this piece of shit judge's name?
Her name is Judge Cote, Cote. There's a funny story about the judges in this case, if you don't mind me saying it.
Of course,
Yeah,
go
go
ahead.
for it.
So we started the proceedings with Judge Berman. This is the judge who sent Jeffrey Epstein to the MDC, where he never returned.
Mm-hmm.
So we started with Judge Berman, and even though he's questionable with his past with Epstein, he's actually a pretty good judge to get. He's one of the only judges in the Southern District of New York who wasn't a prosecutor, right? They almost all come from the U.S. Attorney's Office. Mm-hmm. So there's a little bit to work with there. About a year into the case, it's time to submit our pretrial motions. Mm-hmm. These are like really kind of a big deal. And we discover something during discovery that the government tried to hide from us for over a year. They tried to hide the fact that they actually went to the regulator in charge of illicit money transmission, FinCEN, and asked them, said, hey, is Samurai Wallet, is Keone and Bill, are they doing anything that you would consider against regulations? And they said no, because they don't take custody of anyone's funds. We wouldn't consider them a money transmission business. Mm-hmm. The government knew that 6 months before indictment, indicted us anyway for unlicensed money transmission, even though the regulator in charge of giving the license just told them that we wouldn't need a license. Mm-hmm. Then they tried to hide that for a year. Once we found out about that, mm-hmm. we wrote a motion to the court saying, hey, this is what's called a Brady violation, right? You hid exculpatory evidence again about us. So we write the motion. We write several other motions, one of which is very important, the motion to dismiss, which we produce. We produce Supreme Court precedents, like 3 different Supreme Court precedences stating that just mere knowledge of a crime does not equal conspiracy. You can't conspire with someone if you're not actually part of the crime, right? Just because you know about it is not enough. And like know about it generally, like it's just not enough. Mm-hmm. So we have all of these motions in front of the judge Berman, and then suddenly 2 or 3 days before we're supposed to argue those motions, the judge changes. We no longer have Judge Berman, right? And people who are involved in the system don't understand how unusual this is. Yeah. Normally, you get a judge, and that is your judge throughout the whole case.
Oh, yeah.
And even after the case ends.
Dead. Yeah.
Yes. And even after the case ends, if you have a problem while you're in jail, you go to Judge Berman.
Yeah. What was the justification that they told you that they had to switch judges at that point in time in your process? Did they give you
absolutely none? There was no even attempt to explain why the judge had changed.
So can you tell me?
We just got a notification that the judge had changed, and that was it.
Could you tell the people? So you looked at the option of you could potentially serve 25 years in prison, right? And when you see the indictment, the United States of America goes against Keone Rodriguez, right? It's like it's unfair fight. So you accepted a plea, right? What does that mean, being that you accepted a plea to go for an appeal?
Yeah, let me get to why I accepted the plea, because at this point, I'm not even thinking about a plea. No one's offered a deal, and we're not even asking them for a deal. We're fighting this, right? We just found exculpatory evidence that the government tried to hide. We have a motion that has 3 cases of Supreme Court precedent on our side. We're feeling pretty good here, right? Judge Berman gets replaced all of a sudden by Judge Cote. And my lawyer calls me with the same demeanor that someone calls a loved one after someone's passed away. Mm-hmm. And he goes, "We got Judge Cote." I'm like, okay, that's not a good sign the way he sounds. Mm-hmm. Judge Cote has a reputation. Not only was she formerly a prosecutor, she was the former top prosecutor in the Southern District of New York. She was the head of the criminal division, the same division that is now prosecuting me. So she is a prosecutor through and through. Mm-hmm. And prosecutors, as I'm sure you know, Terry, they think very uniquely. They have a unique worldview. So once a prosecutor, always a prosecutor. Yeah. So that's not good. But then we also find out her reputation for sentencing. She goes max sentence every time. Yeah. She is not giving any leniency ever. Not great, but we're going to argue these motions. So we get to court to argue these motions in front of the judge, and she gets onto the bench. She starts proceedings, and she says, "I've read your motions. I'm denying them all." And that was it. We didn't even get a chance to argue the motions. And she didn't even write an opinion as to why she was denying the motions. She didn't state a verbal opinion why she was denying the motions. It was just one word, denied. And that ended that. And at that point, that was the point I looked to my attorney and I said, they're going to railroad me.
I'm fucked.
Yeah, they are going to railroad me.
So have you reached out to anybody in the DOJ now, at Pam Bondi's, anybody that's over there? Because again, this seems really horrible. You are just getting railroaded. At the very least, considering these motions are going over it, they hit exculpatory evidence. Like, that's enough to get most cases dismissed right there. Even if they do have grounds for further criminal charges, they knowingly hid evidence. That's enough to get most cases tossed. I mean, we've talked about it with numerous other cases where we think, the people are getting screwed. Most of those where, somebody somewhere screwed something up that's hidden from the client, case gets tossed. That's normally how it works. There have to be repercussions when prosecutors are violating the law.
Yes, absolutely. And, I think that we would have a shot with Trump's Department of Justice, but the Southern District of New York, they have a nickname, and they call themselves the Sovereign District of New York. They don't give a crap what Main Justice has to say. They don't care what the Deputy Attorney General has to say. He wrote a memo shortly after inauguration saying, we need to stop holding software developers responsible for the actions of their end users. That couldn't have been about anything other than my case, because there were no other cases going on at that time. And the Southern District ignored it. The Southern District does what they want. And basically, the way I've come to think of it is Trump and his administration, especially Main Justice in DC, they have a real problem on their hands. They have a carryover, Biden appointees and Biden loyalists within the Southern District that are going to do everything they can to, go around the will of the president and his administration. And not only that, it's dangerous for him. These are the same people that came after him and his family. And once he's out of office, they will come after him again. So it's a problem that needs to be dealt with. And I hope he will before his administration ends.
I hope.
But
I
at
hope
this
he's been
point,
replacing some of those U.S. attorneys in that area, has he?
absolutely.
Yeah.
But at this point, dealing with DOJ is done, right? We took the deal. And the reason, so getting back to your question, the reason we took the deal was that sequence of events where the judge denied the motions without any argument, and me realizing, there's not a chance in hell that I beat this case. There's just not a chance. They're going to make sure I lose. And if I lose, she's putting me away for 25 years. And by the way, they're going to put a forfeiture notice on my head for $287 million. An amount they know I don't have anywhere close to. So it was no other choice.
$287 million. Where did they pull that number from?
Is that what went through your app?
So let me tell you the numbers that they say. I haven't verified these. We're just going to assume they're true for the sake of this conversation. They say that over $2 billion worth of cryptocurrency went through my software. And of that $2 billion, they say 237 million were the proceeds of some illicit activity, crime, drugs, I don't know, whatever they say it is. And if I went to trial and if I was found guilty, which was a near certainty, they were going to hold me responsible for all $237 million. But if I take the deal, which, caps the sentence at 5 years instead of 25 years, they would take the $6 million and consider the $237 million paid.
God,
Man.
that's fucked up. I could imagine you walking in when you found that they were, you probably went in there with high hopes, right? And that day in court had to be devastating to you, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I went in there
Got
saying,
far.
we're fighting this. We're
Yeah.
going all the way. When a jury hears this, they can't convict. But then you find out that the judge decides just exactly what the jury's going to hear. And the jury's not going to hear that we had a lawyer who said what we were doing was legal. The jury's not going to hear anything about that exculpatory information from the regulator. The jury's not going to hear any of the 10 years worth of statements I've made about why I created Samurai Wallet. What the jury is going to hear is some loser FBI agent reading a shitpost tweet that I made as a joke and say, "Oh, look, he invited Russian oligarchs to use Samurai Wallet. That's an invitation to criminals."
Criminal.
So you realize that the judge has so much control in the courtroom as to what facts the jury actually hear, that they set it up so that it's impossible for the jury to do anything but convict you.
Yeah. Hey, so my son was at the University of Michigan Midwest Blockchain Conference this weekend. So I know you're going away on the 19th. Can we kind of train him? We'll pick that app up where you left off, and I'll get all my old mob guys that are laundering money and we'll make some cash.
This is a joke for any
It's a
spook
joke.
listening. It's a joke.
It's a joke. I know. I don't. I'm joking. I don't want to get you in trouble or me. I'm joking around.
Just a joke.
Well, apparently those are illegal now too. So, at least in
Yes.
New York. Now,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and I
I
guess
mean, they literally tried to state that I enticed Russian oligarchs to use my software with a post on Twitter, right? A joke on Twitter saying, "Oh,
That's
welcome
crazy.
new Russian oligarch Samurai Wallet users."
Oh my God. So now I see why you're worried about my joke. Holy fuck. So it's like Remington, or they're making bullets and then they go back and trace all these gangland murders and say, well, you are tied to this murder, you're tied to this murder and this murder, and you guys are responsible for murder as well as the guys that took your bullets and used them for the murders.
Right.
I think the same thing. I mean, except
yeah,
it's
the
more of
difference.
Right.
Yeah, the only difference is gun manufacturers already have some liability protection in federal law, whereas this is insane. So I guess this is my other question. So what grounds does the state of New York have to prosecute you on? I mean, they don't get to go out. You didn't live in the state of New York, right?
not the state,
Correct.
it's federal, buddy.
It's federal, but it's a good question, because why were the charges brought in the Southern District, right? I have no ties to the Southern District of New York. So the way they got a jurisdiction in this case, it's in the indictment. It's funny. They sent some poor schlub FBI agent out into the streets of Manhattan with a cell phone in his hand,
Ugh.
and he installed the app onto the cell phone, and he deposited his Bitcoin into the app and used the the tool, and that was it. That's
where
what
the
gave
crime
him.
occurred. That's where your crime occurred, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the whole theory was that we were somehow a financial institution instead of a piece of software, right?
Mhm.
They were treating us like a bank, right? And we weren't. We were software, but because they saw us as a bank, and that agent was able to use the bank without having to provide his ID and do his KYC information, like we were in violation of the law, and that's where the crime occurred. And then they have jurisdiction over you. It's an insane theory, but they get away with it, and they can get away with it there. I almost guarantee you, in my district where I live, the Western District of Pennsylvania, I'm very close to Butler, where the president almost got killed. Right.
Yeah.
This is the area I live in. I can almost guarantee you that no grand jury would have certified that indictment. They just wouldn't have done it, right? It had to be a Manhattan grand jury.
Yeah.
That's how they get away with it.
Yeah. And so explain to the people, since you accepted a plea, what does that mean for you trying to appeal?
Yeah, you waive your right to appeal. You
Yeah.
can't appeal when you take a plea. There really isn't a point in going to the DOJ now.
So
There
essentially,
is
you need a
no real
presidential
point.
pardon.
That's the
Nice.
only way this is going to work for us, right? So we need the president to be made aware of this, because I know deep down in my heart, I know it for a fact, that if the president understood this case and understood the facts of this case, he would grant a pardon. He's a man who understands fairness. He's a man who's for the little guy, is for innovation. And he's a man who has been targeted by this DOJ.
Yeah.
He
Well, I mean,
knows.
yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Like, if Southern District of New York's operating this level of corruption, it sounds like we just need to take the whole system about, disband them, put new people in there, and prosecute the ones that are in there. If they're violating people's rights, then they need to pay the price for it. There's really no getting around it. I mean, these courts are just out of control right now. They're so politicized, or doing like this, steamrolling people rather than giving you a fair hearing, or prosecuting actual crimes. They're just railroading you, wrecking your life, getting rid of the app. And I'm sure there's going to be, other people are going to make similar software. There probably already is similar software out there that exists. They can't control something like this, or just target individuals based on what sounds like a vendetta.
What happened to the apps that were your competition at the time? Are they still up and running, or what did they fold out of fear? What happened?
They folded out of fear. Yeah. So they either left the United States or shut down the service. But what's very interesting about it is, because my code was open source and freely distributable, it didn't take very long for a fork. We call it a fork, when someone takes your code and makes a copy of it and distributes it. Someone made a copy of our code, including all the features that the government hated, and it's out there. It's still out there. And these are brave
ownership of, it's your code, and they're pushing it out there to say fuck you to the government, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, they're pushing it out there. They're brave souls who are doing it even better than we did by keeping anonymous and having better OPSEC, because we were open and notorious because we were so confident we weren't breaking the law, right? We had no problem operating because here we are, we're following the law. I have no problem making jokes on Twitter and being antagonistic to the government, because we have that right as Americans. I can tell the government they suck, and I can be as rude to them as I want, and I'm not breaking the law. So what are you going to do about it? Well, I found out what they're going to do about it, because they did it. They did it hard. So this new group of people, they're not doing that, right? They're being a lot more private, and they're taking better precautions. But the code is out there, and the government will never be able to stop it, because that's the power of open source code.
Yeah. So you got sentenced. You got 5 years. You have to go in on December 19th, right before Christmas, which really sucks. I'm too bad you couldn't get. They wouldn't give it to you in January, right? They made you go in sooner. Is it true? Did you guys try to get it past the holidays or no?
There was no point. The judge was
a bitch. Yeah, that bitch.
That's one way of putting it.
Sorry, I know. Yeah, so I know you're still in the system.
She was it was something else. It was like I felt like a Catholic schoolboy being chastised by the head nun. She was incredibly angry with me.
I'm gonna harass that bitch after we're done on X. I'm kidding. I'm not.
That's also a joke.
I won't do that to you. I'm joking. I'm joking.
It's also a joke.
I'm joking.
Let me report first, then do your best.
So explain the process. So you got thank God you don't have to go, and you said MDC, it's MCC, Metropolitan Correctional Center. Thank God you didn't have to go to MCC, because it sucks. There's one in Chicago. There's one where Epstein died. They're shitholes. They're absolutely shitholes. So you lease the Bureau of Prisons, which is separate from the it's under the Department of Justice, but it's separate from the judicial system, gave you the opportunity to self-surrender without having to go to the Manhattan MCC, which is a shithole. Those of you from Chicago, you see that triangle concrete thing, that's MCC Correctional. They have the exact same thing that's in New York that Epstein hung himself. It's a shithole. So you're self-surrendering where? And tell the people where you're going.
Yeah, so I'm doing the federal prison camp in Morgantown, West Virginia. So this is I was hoping that I would get that one because it's the closest to where I live, so it'll be easiest for my wife and family to visit.
How far is it from where you live?
About an hour and 40 minutes.
Oh my God, that's fucking awesome. That's great. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not
So
great
we
that
were
you're
hoping
great,
for it.
but yeah. Yeah. What and so it's a prison camp. Is there like a FCI next to it, or is it just a prison
No,
camp
it's a
standalone?
standalone. Yeah, it's a
Oh wow,
standalone,
that's great.
which is also better, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. How
when
many
they're
inmates?
those satellite camps, they're still a little rougher than a normal standalone camp because they just have a higher security facility right next door.
Yeah,
And
I
some
was at
of
a
the
satellite
guards
camp when I started out in mostly, I came out of my concrete closet, and I talked to you a little bit about this. So now that I'm not with my old company since February, I talk more openly on our show. So I started out in Milan, Michigan, and Detroit, which was kind of fucked up. There was guys with life and stuff in there, and then when I went to a satellite camp that is still South Carolina in the middle of nowhere, um, I had the first top bunk in the whole place. It was brand new in 1992 or whatever the hell it was when I went there. But it's like a military. It really is. I mean, it's like a military camp. Um, obviously more stricter rules and stuff, but I mean, you're away from your family. Um, it's still fucked up, but thank God it's a camp, right? Thank God it's a camp.
Yeah.
Do they have any at that camp? Is there any Unicor's Federal Prison Industries? Is there like job?
Yeah, I believe so. I think what I read is that they have a Unicore facility for call center.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So I can start paying off my $250,000 fine with $1 an hour work.
I
Yeah.
was going to say 80 cents. I guess they gave you a raise.
No, so just so you guys know, I after I helped bring back jobs to long story, I'm gonna come out with all this bullshit later and stuff, right? Using the federal inmate labor and stuff. So when you go to federal prison, you have jobs. You can either clean toilets, work in the chow hall, cut grass, or whatever, right? And those make. And I don't know if the pay went up since 1990. It was 25 cents an hour, right? To 45 cents an hour. And the high paying jobs are the Unicore jobs where you hit
Right.
$80, $1.25 an hour. And then once
Yeah.
you have fines like yourself, they take that money from you and that you almost work for nothing. The only good thing is if you get to work in a call center, right? Because they're going to fuck you with the money that they take out. I don't know how much they're going to take, but you have the opportunity to escape from the prison life, right? You go into, and it's like a call center. It really is. You're just all dressed like military people, and you have that 8 hours of escape from walking around. Thank God it's a prison camp without the the fencing and stuff.
Yeah.
So there'll be sport. You're going to get in great shape, man.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Doing any kind of exercise has been tough over the last year
No.
and a half to 1.9. I've been on house arrest, so I've not been able to leave my house.
Jesus, and you're mentally drained. It's a roller coaster, right?
Absolutely.
It's a fucking. It just sucks you dry. You go, you. I mean, I sympathize where you're at. I thank God you're going to be okay. You're not going to have any other bullshit, that people hear on TV and stuff. When you go to a federal prison
sure.
camp like that, you're going to be absolutely safe. It's just away from your family and the uncertainty and the wish and hoping that Trump is going to do something. He's doing stuff for other people, right? That
He just pardoned Tina Peters earlier today, finally.
Oh, did he? Thank God. Did he? Oh, that's huge.
Just a few hours ago. Now I don't know if that's going to stick because those are state charges for Tina Peters. They may push back on it, but as I found out the other day, Trump actually has already done this. There's another person he pardoned. Now I'm blanking on who it was. It wasn't a major news story type thing, but also pardoned state charges, which technically he's not supposed to be able to do.
I need him to pardon my state and federal charge. Trump, if you're watching this for Keanu, get him out of prison, but then come back and get me. I need a pardon. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, they made a big deal. I sold a half a dozen hand grenades. They made it into a federal offense, Keanu.
Yeah, now that's just like a basic weekend for MS-13. But yeah, I mean, I've never been to prison myself, but I do know another guy I worked with. I worked my way through college at a custom woodworking place, and we had a guy in there. Really terrible story. Ended up going to jail because his brother robbed a convenience store, unbeknownst to him, and but they sent him to a work camp in Kentucky, and same thing he said. It was horrible being away from his family, but it wasn't nearly as bad as he imagined, other than the heat and the summer and the cells out there. But the one thing surprised me. He said they didn't even lock the cells at night; that you were locked in the pod. But if you needed to get out of the cell that you were in for whatever reason, they didn't lock the doors. He said they did one time because they had a miscount, but it turned out somebody just didn't know how to count.
Yeah, well,
But,
right.
it's like being in boot camp. I guess it is.
So
There's no
what
cell.
someone,
Yeah.
sorry, yeah, what someone told me who has been and I've been talking with, he said, imagine the Boy Scouts, but run by the DMV. And I think that was like what a description, because you instantly understand it.
Mhm. Yeah, well, so when I was in Still, South Carolina, I had 2 jobs. So I got to go in the administration building next to the medium prison, right? And I knew how to type. So this is before it was so I knew how to. I took typing senior year in high school. That's only, and so I knew how to type. I was probably the only one in a prison who knew how to type.
Dude, I bet you were glad that you took that typing class. That's funny.
And oh my God, I was the only guy. My friends made fun of me, and I took it to meet all the girls. I was the only like dago jock. I sat in the middle. I didn't even care about the class. So I went to the admin building and typed. They didn't give us now. I heard you get iPads. You could send emails and shit. And they made sure that I had that was early on with the internet for them, and I couldn't have access to computers or anything. I had this typewriter, a manual typewriter, by the way. And I would type, and then I also taught a pre-GED class, not GED. I taught pre-GED. So I was in Still, South Carolina with my Chicago Dago accent, and so I would give the guys 10 spelling words per day, right? So remember, this is pre-GED, like there, and they would. Oh my God, man, they did really bad, right? And I'm like, Jesus Christ, guys, what the fuck? They're like, man, Yank, it's your accent. You're not saying the words right. Because I'm down there. So then I would have one of the hillbillies from down there. I would say the word. I'd have the hillbilly say the word. I'm like, they're translating for you. And they still did bad. And I played lots of 12-inch softball, and I got in good shape. So I'm not trying. I know emotionally, and hopefully Trump is going to do something to help you out. I would say I pray, but I'm not a good.
Well,
yeah, I mean, I think as long as we can get it in front of him, and that's the hardest part, right? As president of the United States, a lot of people are competing for his attention.
Yeah.
But if we can make enough noise just to get it to his inner circle or him, I think it's a done deal, because he truly does know what this is about. He has been through it. He has lived it, and he will see it immediately. He
Have you
doesn't
been
understand the
Have you been on
technicals.
Real America Voice at all?
Yeah, I was on there today.
Oh, who are you on with?
Bollinger.
Oh,
like that.
okay. Yeah, Eric Bollinger. Yeah. Oh,
Bollinger. Yeah.
Yeah, Eric. Yeah, he's actually.
And that was a great. It wasn't too long. It was like 12 minutes. I was on there with him, but it was great. And then the other day I was on with Steve Gruber.
Oh,
as well.
Steve, I know.
And,
Steve's a good guy.
yeah, they're both
with
friendly.
Emerald Robinson.
I haven't been with them. No.
Okay, I'll try to get you on with her too. I know you're trying to get your everything in order and stuff, and with your wife, it's a balance between that and trying to get your message out to have the right person just happen to see your story.
Exactly.
So that's what we need to do in the next certain days. Well, did you have a give, send, go or anything, or is there anything you're just trying to get your story out there? Is there anything?
Yeah, no, I have a website that I hope that your listeners will visit. It's Bill BILLANDKEONNE BillandKeone.org. That gives a very brief rundown of the case, why it matters, and there's 2 things that you can do there. One is you can sign a petition, which will take you to change.org. Sign the petition, get your friends and family to sign the petition. It really does help. And the second thing is there is a Give, Send, Go link on that website, and that goes to support my wife and Bill's wife. So my wife, Lauren, and Bill's wife, Lauren, will be receiving those Give, Send, Go funds, and that will help them transition into a life, for the next 5 years without their husbands.
Yeah.
So I would appreciate your listeners to check that out. Can't donate, no problem. Signing the petition is free.
Well, I just shared it out, and I'm going to have our Ex-American News account share it out here in a few minutes once we get off air. That'll reach a lot more people. But yeah, guys, again, put your money to a good cause, something that actually matters. Skip your next Starbucks latte or your double quarter pounder with cheese, and donate. Again, like families like this that are going through a lot, they really need your help, especially patriots like this that are bucking the government and standing up for our individual rights and paying the price for it. We've got to get this fixed.
Yeah, and for those of you that are listening, if you listen to Mike Gallagher, you ever hear of Angel Tree? Angel Tree, you guys hear that?
Yeah.
If you know about it, if you hear about it, donate to Angel Tree. It's $30 for 2 kids presents. My daughter was only a month old, my oldest daughter, for my first marriage, when I went to federal prison, and it was devastating. And when I was in prison, I learned of Angel Tree, and it grew a lot since then. And they collect money, and Mike Gallagher talks about this. They collect money for inmates whose parents are in prison. So my daughter didn't commit the crime, I did, right? And I was in prison, and they actually send gifts to the children. So Angel Tree, if you don't donate, please. There's a lot of innocent children in there that their parents are in prison, and it's not their fault, and kind of fucked. So they could use your help.
Well, any other words of wisdom or anything else you want to leave our audience with?
I don't think there's anything specifically. People have asked me, "Oh, do you regret saying the things that you said that got the government's attention? Do you regret building this tool?" The answer is a strong no on both accounts. I'm proud of what I built. I don't think I'm a criminal. I don't think I committed the crime. And I'm proud of what I said. And if I'm not proud of what I said, it was because it was just a joke, and I thought it was funny then, and I think it's funny now. So I'm not taking anything back. And I think I hope that type of attitude persists in our culture, right? We shouldn't be afraid of saying things. We shouldn't be afraid of criticizing our government, criticizing our elected officials. This is an important thing, important bedrock aspect of our culture, and we should be building tools that the government doesn't like. If the government likes what we're building, we're not building the right thing. So I hope that when I get out in whatever it is, 5 years, whatever, that the people in crypto circles are still building tools that the government doesn't like, and they've only gotten better at doing it and more resilient. So thank you guys for having me on. Thank you for letting me share my story with your listeners, and I appreciate it greatly.
Oh, thank you very much. Don't jump off as we hang up here. And then I just want to say hi to Michelle, Dennis, Noah. Was it Rakian?
Everybody's back on the Facebook now that it's working again.
Russell Weisenhofer. Man, Russ used to get me in trouble all the time in high school. It's a joke. I used to get him in trouble. Hey, thank you very much for joining. Don't jump off, and we'll try to get as many interviews to help get the message out there before you go away to college. Now you're going to be you're going to have another college degree like me, federal college you're going to.
Oh man. All right, guys. Well, thank you again for joining. And to our audience, thank you for joining. Please like, share, and subscribe. Help us to grow so we can bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. And we'll